Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Today, we're going to be taking a look at a clip from someone on TikTok who claims people that critique fat people online don't actually care about their health at all, because if they did, they would do actual research and learn about fat phobia. Whatever that means. She goes on to say that she's fat and hot and also healthier than you. We're also going to be taking a look at a bonus clip from someone who claims weight stigma hurts larger people's health more than the weight, so be sure to stick around until the end. Before we proceed, please click the like button so that I may apply comb to mustache.
You do not care about fat people's health. Stop fucking pretending like you do.
You don't know what I care about.
Okay? Because if you actually cared, then you would do research.
If I actually cared,
you would learn about fat phobia, learn about colonization, learn about the history.
Okay.
Of why fatness is demonized in our culture. Look. Have you never seen the statue of fertility?
She is, of course, referring to this. I've heard a lot of people say because there are statues of larger people that exist from back in the day, they must have been the beauty standard, but I don't see how these two things are related. I don't see how finding a statue of the Venus or whatever the hell that thing is proves that larger people were the beauty standard back in the day. And even if they were, I still don't see what that means for today. Back in the day, nobody had any food. So if you did, you stood out and people were like, oh my God, can I be with you? I would also like to eat at some point. And I'm not saying that people have to be into this certain body type or that certain body type. People are free to be into whatever they want for now.
Have you never seen works of art throughout history?
What are you talking about?
Me and my fat ass are gonna be over here looking hot as fuck.
Okay. I don't see what this has to do with what you said originally, which was that you don't care about fat people's health and you need to learn about fat phobia. I guess this is that lesson.
And I'm healthier than you.
Oh my goodness. So she said she's fat, hot, and now she says healthier than me. Doesn't that sound like the title of an old Ricky Lake or Jenny Jones episode? I'm fat, hot, and healthier than you.
That's what really bugs me, y'all.
Is that you're healthier than everybody else and there were statues of larger people back in the day?
You don't know how healthy I am by looking at me. Period. End of story.
Well, doctors seem to think that they can tell somebody's health by looking at them. So you should probably address this argument to your doctor or various other doctors. They're the ones going around telling people that being over a certain BMI is actually unhealthy.
Be gone.
Okay, she said she's fat, hot, and healthier than you. Like I said, that sounds like a Jenny Jones title from back in the day. You guys remember Rude Jude? What a dumb character. Man, we had some real dumb shows back in the day. She said that there were a bunch of statues and paintings of larger people back in the day, implying that they must have been the beauty standard. I don't know why people bring that up as if it's relevant today. Back in the day, I think nobody had access to food, so larger individuals were seen as prosperous, and perhaps we should hang out with them because they actually have access to food and the rest of us don't. It is absolutely insane to find a statue of an obese individual and be like, see, this was the beauty standard back then. It's just a statue. It literally means nothing. Also, I don't really care what the beauty standards were back in the day. We know a lot more about health and various things like that today than they did back then. I feel like that whole presentation was just 2 snaps and a twist, and there wasn't a whole lot of substance to it. Next.
I would rather read the comments of 100 Reddit trolls than one of these comments under my videos.
And the comment that she's referring to says, obesity is self-harm. I hope get you better. Okay, you're upset at the grammatical errors in this. Me too.
Really, went to Reddit the other day, found one of my videos on TikTok cringe because that's a thing that exists. And a lot of people were talking about the video. Some people found it cringy for different reasons. Again, totally understandable. You start putting things out there, it makes sense that people have comments and opinions and thoughts about, what you're saying or how you're saying it. But there were so many just absolutely vile comments about my appearance, about my body, and all of those.
A lot of these comments are pretty mean, calling her names and saying various mean things about her.
Things. And again, I would rather read all of those, and I did, than read one of these faux concerns.
Well, also, this is not properly worded. It says obesity is self-harm. I hope get you better. So that's the main reason I don't like to see this, is because it's grammatically incorrect. Okay, you're saying that this person does not really care. It's faux concern.
For me and my either physical or mental health. I'd like to unpack today 3 things that the research says about this idea of obesity as self-harm.
The research. Okay.
There's a huge body of research across disciplinary fields that shows that in our society, especially in the United States, fatness is treated as a moral failing.
Okay. Some people do have a negative view of larger people. And what does that mean?
A lot of folks, it's not just relegated to a physical or mental health issue. It has to do with whether or not you are a good person. Sociologists and public health scholars have shown over and over again that when someone is living in a fat body, the way that people perceive them and how that shows up in discussions about them, it's often framed through these different lenses of responsibility and blame and deservingness.
We've heard many people say, you guys consider obesity to be a moral failing, but I think the vast majority of people don't. I don't consider morality at all. I don't think there's anything immoral. I also don't think people that are battling an addiction to other substances are immoral. They're just battling an addiction and going through it. And I think most people view it the same way.
And those 3 things are what allow people to hide their judgment and kind of wrap it up in this fake gift wrap presentation and being like, well, I'm just worried about you. Because then they don't have to worry that they're going to be called out for policing someone else's body. Instead, they're just concerned.
Okay. And what if we don't care what these people think? Will their words still affect us? Or do they only affect us when we give power to them and care what they say?
Julie Guthman writes a lot about this, and she talks about the ways that U.S. culture and capitalism are really tied to our physical form. So you are expected to be a good consumer, to constantly be participating, I would say even more now, in these kind of trends of overconsumption.
You don't have to. And you don't have to blame them because you participated in trends.
But you're also supposed to show discipline through your physical body. So even though you're supposed to consume a lot, both
Okay, you're saying in this society, you're supposed to consume a lot, but you're supposed to be thin anyway. I don't know where you're getting these ideas from. Everybody keeps telling me to consume. You mean companies that are selling the products are telling you that? I bet it's them. We don't have to. We don't actually have to constantly buy all of this stuff because it's advertised to us. You know how many things I bought yesterday? Nothing. I can't afford anything.
Materially and also just with food, right? You're supposed to go out to eat and live this lavish life to prove that you're, winning.
So that's how you feel. Well, that's interesting. It's funny when people tell you what they think you're supposed to do, and they just go on to talk about the things that they're doing. You're expected to do this. You're expected to do that. And I'm like, I've never even heard of any of this stuff. It sounds like you're the one doing all these things because that's what you think is expected of you.
At life, but you're also supposed to do it in a way where you never actually gain any weight or take up any real space.
I don't know who you're talking about when you say you're supposed to. I don't know who expects all of these things from you. They don't expect these things from me. So maybe you should stop hanging out with that person.
Which is very gendered and racialized as well. That also means that your body becomes this very visible form of evidence against you.
Stop using my body as evidence against me. Evidence of what? You guys are saying that I've been eaten a certain way? Is that what this means? How dare you?
As a good person, as a trustworthy person, as someone people can depend on.
It sounds like you're making a lot of assumptions about what other people think. Maybe a lot of these aren't based in reality. Maybe they're based on our own insecurities, a lot of them. We think people are judging us negatively for this, and this, but the average person doesn't care what other randos out in society are doing.
Like culturally, people place fatness into this specific category that has a lot of negative connotation. I do want to point.
I think they basically place it into the same category as other substance abuse, like alcoholism or using various illicit substances. I think people place it into that same category. You're dealing with an addiction. I don't think that anybody's a moral failure because they're dealing with an addiction.
Point out that I know that body size and our relationships to food are extremely complex and they're a very individual experience.
I don't believe that's true.
There are people that absolutely struggle that kind of body-focused, repetitive behaviors that can be harmful, linked to mental health or specific conditions. But you cannot diagnose someone's mental health from their body size.
Well, I know that people that are dealing with an addiction typically don't have great mental health, and that's not any sort of insult. We shouldn't take it that way.
And it doesn't matter if clean eating or healthy eating or going to the gym, working out, like all these things are something that you're super interested in. It's something that you've kind of dedicated your life to. Unless you are that person's doctor, their doctor, not just even a doctor, then you do not know. And you cannot tell.
Okay, so only a person's doctor can tell what that person is going through. Okay, what if your doctor recommends weight loss because you're over a certain BMI? Which is something I've heard that doctors do quite a bit. What then? If it's our own doctor, are we going to argue with them then, or?
And fat phobia itself can contribute to an even more complicated or unhealthy relationship between food and or your body.
People treating us negatively is not what's causing us to eat or act a certain way. We're the one that's choosing to respond to this negative stimuli by doing that. Right here, she pulls up a little study that says weight stigma is stressful, a review of evidence for the cyclic obesity/weight-based stigma model. So once again, we're talking about the idea that stigma or other people's negative opinions of you actually affects your health negatively. But it doesn't. What you choose to give power to is what might affect your health negatively. If Mark is giving me a hard time for my size, but I don't even like Mark and I think that he's a moron, then his opinion means nothing to me. The stigma means nothing. Also, does the stigma hurt you more than the obesity? Because several people's doctors have said that once you're over a certain BMI, it's very unhealthy. You said that you should listen to your doctor's advice. What if your doctor tells you that obesity is actually bad for you and it's not the stigma at all? Would you actually listen to that? Or would you only listen to a doctor that's telling you the stuff that you want to hear?
Relationship between food and or your body because of the ways that you might internalize that your body is a failure.
Right, because of the ways that you might internalize thinking that your body is a failure. See, the key word there is internalize. If you have negative opinions of me and I don't internalize any of them, they bounce right off of me. Only when I accept your negative opinion of me does it begin to affect me. If I think that you're dumb and I don't care about your opinion at all, it can bounce right off my forehead. Oh, look at that dumb mustache. Oh, look how old you are. Look how dumb you are. Cool, bro, I don't care. It only affects you when you care what the people are saying. And when you're living your best life, you don't.
Fatness is a body size. These are not the same thing. In fact, a lot of research in public health actually shows that fat people experience a ton of discrimination and stigma and social exclusion.
How do you do such a study? How do you measure that? That sounds like a self-reporting study where you go and talk to people and ask them how they feel about being excluded, because you can't actually measure that. We followed a guy around with a hidden camera and saw how much he got excluded. You didn't do that. You asked people how they feel about being excluded and if they feel like they were excluded. And they did feel that way, whether it was happening or not.
And depression and anxiety from the ways that they're treated in society and within our culture. And many studies show that a lot of these
Many studies were from fluffykittenparty.com, or was it .org? I don't know, whatever sounds more legitimate.
negative outcomes are driven by the stigma itself, not just.
How do we measure stigma? You can't measure other people's negative opinion of you. In fact, that's so subjective that it might or might not even exist. When we're asking people, what do you think people think bad about you? You're just asking insecure people what they're insecure about, and they might be like, everybody's judging me. I could tell you right now, the stigma's what's holding me back. I'm telling you, that's how those studies are done. It's self-reported stigma because there's no way to actually measure it. It's such an abstract concept.
Body size. You can't separate them. Before you comment something like this, especially, but even if you catch yourself thinking this, I would love for you to pause for a moment and remember that this statement, it's not a scientific statement. It is a judgment that is rooted in some form of morality.
What, when people say they care about your health? I don't know, maybe some of them do, maybe some of them are just being jerks.
That other people are placing on fat bodies. Because time and time again, the research is very clear on one thing. Fat bodies are not a moral failure, but the way that we treat people who live their lives in those bodies, that is what has very real consequences.
Okay, well, I don't think anybody thinks that larger people are a moral failure. We've had this debate countless times. I have never, ever, ever seen anybody refer to a larger person as a moral failure. I've seen countless larger people say that other people think of them that way, but I've never actually heard anybody think of them that way. It's really bizarre. But I do know that doctors don't have any sort of meter to measure stigma to see how bad that's affecting you. They do have a BMI, but they don't have a stigma meter. There's probably a reason for that, because one of these actually exists and is a serious problem that can hurt us, and the other can't even be measured and may not even exist. Maybe we should work on ourselves until we become confident enough that we don't care what other randos think of us out in society. Once I get rid of enough of this stigma, well, I have increased mobility, no longer have knee pain. So we had a lot of interesting clips in today's video, but what do you think? Does the existence of larger statues in ancient times prove that that was the beauty standard back then? And if it did, what does that mean for today? And does weight stigma hurt us more than obesity? Leave a comment below. Happy Thursday, everybody. Anyway, that about does it. Thanks for watching, commenting, liking, and subscribing. And I'll see you in the next one.
But I don't wanna jinx it, babe.